This morning I felt extremely triggered, pissed off. I was in a lot of anger and a lot of reaction mode to a situation that happened to me. So I decided to record this podcast to talk about how to deal with judgments, how to deal with the fear of rejection, how to deal with feeling triggered and pissed off and annoyed. So let me tell you where it all started. This morning I received a very unfriendly message from a lady that was reacting to my post on Facebook. Basically, they are the same than my post on Instagram. So every post that mention sex, erotism, sensuality, or body image and picture of my body half naked. She basically was slut-shaming, saying that it was unacceptable, that she wouldn't like to see her daughter like this, and blah blah blah. So I also want to talk about boundaries in that episode. That's the missing part I wanted to talk about. To be fully honest with you, I recorded this podcast and talked about those subjects a first time as it happened earlier this day. But I realized that I was still very triggered, and that it's never really nice to receive information from someone that is still very triggered and reactive. But I want to break it down to you. That is okay to feel triggered. That is okay to feel anger and to feel pissed off. And that's part of the whole spectrum of emotions that we are able to feel as human beings. So that needs to be said, It's not because you're all about spirituality and tapping into your feminine energy and being loving and compassionate that you're always or better, like you're never feeling some sort of frustration or being just pissed off as someone entering your space. And the reason why I want to talk about boundaries is that same person sent me a text message on Facebook 2 days before that, explaining to me like her opinion about the fact that I cut my hair and got a nose piercing and just that I changed my physical appearance. And I got already super triggered by that because I was like, I did not ask for your opinion, so why are you telling me? Why is this woman entering my space feeling like I gave her permission to judge openly something when I didn't ask for it? And then she was giving me a bunch of bullshit advice about that I need to find my inner beauty from inside, that it was almost like I was searching another version of myself, blah blah blah, and all of those things, those quote unquote advices that I didn't ask for. And I talk already about this. Maybe you already listened the podcast or so the IGTV I did on giving people advice when they don't ask for it. This is really, really violent. This is not non-violent communication. This is really a way of relating, a way of communicating that is extremely violent for the one receiving it. When you don't ask for advice, when people don't ask for your advice, don't give them to them. I learned that during my life. I used to give advice to everyone, even if they didn't ask for it. And it's actually someone that taught me that. She was asking always, like, can I give you my opinion? Can I give you an advice? Do you want to hear what I think about it? You can just ask permission. This is also about, boundaries is about consent. It's almost like, you're are in your bubble, in your intimacy, and someone is entering without your permission. So of course, energetically, you always allow people to come in. Like I allowed those comments to come into my field and to disrupt it, right? I am responsible for my own trigger to her being triggered by my posts. The other thing I wanted to mention here is how crazy it is that the more you free yourself, the more you step into your power and really talk about the thing you want to talk, people will get triggered. Of course, I'm talking about sex. I'm talking about body image. I'm talking about reclaiming my body. And I'm posting picture of me with my naked body online. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about sensuality and how to find pleasure. And I'm talking about weird shit that triggers people in general. And I am prepared to trigger people. The truth is, when I was creating more basic content on Instagram and really basic knowledge, like I didn't have a lot of haters. I still don't have a lot of haters, but I have way more people reaching out to me because, or unfollowing me or whatever, being triggered by the content that I post, which is okay, it's completely fine. I am not anymore trying to please people. I know that by stepping into my power, stepping into using my voice for the subjects that I really want to talk about and doing the things the way I want to do them, I'm repulsing, I'm putting boundaries, and I'm just like removing certain types of vibration, certain types of people from my life, so that I can also attract more of the people that vibrate on the same level and share the same vision on life, if I may say. Here is not about it's what I mentioned as well is there is this thing where we are afraid of that. Sometimes we self-sabotage and we don't do whatever we want to do. We don't say what we want to say. We don't show up in our lives. It doesn't mean on social media. It's in general in our lives. We don't really step up to our full potential because we are afraid of being judged. We are afraid about how us being fully ourselves and having maybe ideas or way of doing things that are different from the people around us, from our families, friends, peers, or what you are used to. It's so scary because you're so afraid of that rejection, judgment, or hate that you will just sabotage yourself and keep yourself small in order not only to please other people, or not because you're afraid of your light, but because you're afraid of feeling hurt. And you have this protection system within you that is preventing you, and you are wired to avoid pain and anything that can potentially hurt you. So with that being said, haters gonna hate. Don't keep yourself small just because you're afraid of losing people or receiving bad comments. And like, I know from an outside perspective, it's really easy to just say, oh, you just have to ignore it and not let it return to you. But sometimes the truth is different. I don't have like millions of followers, but I cannot even imagine those people who are constantly receiving DMs and messages of hate. Because yes, you can ignore it, but you still read, you still get that energy somehow to you, and then you protect yourself from that and you move on from that. But we're a whole human. And I already opened up about this subject of bullying and how I was bullied in my business school, and again suffered from slut-shaming because people were making stories about my sexual life and they were calling me a slut, a whore, just the worst names. And I got really, really the target of a lot of things, and people saying horrible things about me all the time. So I'm kind of prepared for that, especially when I know I'm talking about sex. Like it's gonna triggered people like so much. But let's normalize what is normal. Like, if we all have something in common, is like, we came on this planet because at some point there is a chance, like most of us, that because two people had sex. Pleasure, sex, sensuality, this is part of our lives. This is okay, this is normal. The female body as well. Like, why naked bodies and nudity is so triggering. I remember being at a state in my life as well where I myself was judging so much other girls and other women for showing their bodies naked online. Then I started moving out and I was like, okay, when there is a message around like feminism and like female empowerment, I get it, why they show themselves naked or when it's artsy. But I still had two categories. There were one category of people that could do it and I find it acceptable, like according to my own rules, right? And another kind of people, I was just like, they're just like showing their ass and they're finding any opportunity to show their bodies naked because they are asking for attention. And now I'm completely out of this mentality. I'm in the stage of like, everyone should be doing whatever they want with their bodies and it shouldn't be a problem. The problem is the woman bodies are either objectified and over-sexualized so that a naked body is automatically linked to sexuality, which is not. Like, naked and sex is just not the same. Your naked body is like your most natural form in which you came in. And sex is love. Sex is God. Sex is sacred. We just have so many distorted vision of this because of our society and the porn industry and the school system and the education and the patriarchy and all those lineage of stuff that came before us that conditioned us to view things a certain way and to slut shame women that feels confident and that own their body, own their sexuality, so that there is this permanent control, right? Like, if women judge themselves so hard between women, when someone is like breaking free from that, when a woman is like owning her sexuality and being free, and then if all women around us is just like shaming her and trying to keep her in control, like there is this control system that stays in place. But let's question that for a sec. Really, is it serving us? I really dream, and I'm a dreamer. I dream about a world where we can do whatever the fuck we want without being judged, without being shamed. A world where you can think and feel the way you want in your body and express it and show it outside the way you truly desire it. This is so important. This is freedom. This is liberation. So how to deal with judgments? You're going to be judged whether you're like, let's say, money. You're going to be judged whether you are completely broke. People will be criticizing you like, oh, you're not doing anything or whatever. They're going to judge you for being broke. And if you're rich and making shitloads of money, are going to judge you no matter what. So you better do you, right? Same, if you're being sexually open and liberated and you're showing your body naked, and you're wearing the type of clothes that you truly want and you're just stepping into that power, you're going to be judged. You're going to also be judged if you're playing it small and trying to please everyone. Like, no matter what you do, you cannot please everyone. That was a hard lesson for me to learn in my teenage years and even growing up as a young adult. But you need to be prepared that the more you free yourself from conditioning, the more chances you have to trigger other people. That's, there is their part in themselves that is so different from, and that tries to keep you to what you wear also. To that place where they think they know you, they think, you're following what they think is right and not what they think is wrong. The thing is, everyone has its own reality and vision of the world. And it's now, how do you put boundaries for yourself? We often think that boundaries are meant for other people. So like, I have my boundaries so people don't cross my boundaries, blah, blah, blah. But boundaries is just for yourself. It's your relationship to self. It's like, what are your rules? What are you willing to accept into your field, into yourself? What are you gonna settle for? And then everyone else that comes around that, you have your boundary for yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a little bit hard for me to express it in English. It doesn't come so naturally, so bear with me. But I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is that protect yourself. People are going to try to distract you and keep you where you are because their own expansion scare them. So you growing and changing and evolving and stepping into your power triggers the part of them where they aren't too afraid to do it. So it scares the shit out of them and they are projecting that on you. But if you have strong boundaries and you're just not accepting people to come into your life and give you advice when you didn't ask for it, or come into your life, and the key here is to hold compassion. And it's okay to not be compassionate in the beginning. Like this morning, I was not compassionate. I was really pissed off. I was really, really pissed off at this woman. But eventually, the day went by and I'm just like taking a step back and I'm realizing like, this is not like her essence. Like she's not trying to hurt me, even though like, reaching out to someone. Oh yeah, I really want to address that real quick before the end of this podcast. Like I had people unfollowing me and coming at me and telling me, explaining why they do it. And this is such a courageous, brave thing to do. I had people coming and telling me like, I'm going to unfollow you because I feel really triggered by this, and this. Because it makes me feel like, not it makes me feel, but like I do feel that. And I think they were just owning their shit. So I was so blessed to receive messages like this where I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, just I honor you. And of course, if I don't make you feel good, like, please unfollow me. Like, I advise that to all my clients and I do it for myself. Like, no kidding. Every day I mute, block, or unfollow people every single day because every single day I got triggered. And as I'm moving through life, there is stuff that resonated for a while with me, but then a certain type of content or a person that I'm following is not resonating. So then I just like remove it. That will be also a very precious advice that I can share with you, that I shared a lot in my coaching, is that declutter your environment, which means your Instagram, your Facebook, your podcast, just really everything that doesn't make you feel good. If you're comparing yourself, if you're feeling triggered, just block and follow. Have the self-awareness to see why you feel triggered. That's really, really how you do the work. But also, like, don't follow people that doesn't make you feel good. It has no point. So if someone is coming at me and expressing their feelings and just staying in their integrity and owning their feelings without blaming me or shaming me for the type of content that I post, but they're like, I just don't resonate and I wanted to tell you. I honor that so much. This is so brave to do it. This is so brave to speak up, and I'm honoring and blessing and just being so grateful for this type of people. But the type of people that comes to me just like attacking and not owning their feeling, and I'm just like, you can just unfollow me, right? If my content, you don't appreciate it and you feel like it's unacceptable, just don't follow me, right? And then it's like, how can I move that into more compassion for myself and from those people? Because we are mirror to each other, to one another, always. It's just also like how you don't let judgments and the perception of others disturb you from your goal and your purpose. Because in this moment, when I was replying to this woman, I lost my goal. I mean, I actually didn't. It put a lot of fire of like, oh, I want to liberate myself even more. And I want to step even deeper into the subjects of sex. And I want to show myself even more naked so that other people, and with my hair under my armpit and stuff like this, that really triggers people, because I know that it triggers some people, but it inspires other people. I also have people saying, wow, I could never do what you do, but just seeing you doing it, I feel closer to being able to do it. Or you just like, it's like shaving your head or growing your hair on your body. When you see other people doing it and owning it, it inspires people. When you speak up your truth, when you feel like you open up vulnerably, it opens the door for other people to follow your example. You give permission to others. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. That's the reason, like, I'm fighting for, I don't know if you can say like fighting for, I think it's a very aggressive way to say it. I'm standing for, I guess in English will be more appropriate, for female liberation, for feminine empowerment, for embodiment. I want to normalize what is already normal. I want to normalize sacred sexuality. I want to normalize every type of body and every part of the body and being naked. I want to normalize the fact, again, I'm going to repeat it, that sex and nudity are two different things. Being naked and showing your body naked is not a sexual act. And even when it is, like, it's no problem. Like, sex is okay. It's okay to talk about sex. It's okay to feel sexual and to express your sexuality in the world. I think the world is such unsafe. Like, it's not safe to express our sexuality, because there is this slut-shaming where if a woman is tapped into her sensuality and sexuality, then she asks for it when something bad happens, such as rape or sexual abuse or judgments or hate. Like, she kind of deserves it because she shouldn't express her sexuality in the first place. I think this society is sick. Really. What's wrong with sexuality? This is natural. And a woman should be able to tap into her feminine energy and express it and fully live by it, because there is no problem. If you think about it, what is the problem with sex? Really think about it for a sec. Like, it's just our perception of it that is somehow dirty or inappropriate or should stay like in the intimacy. Why? We all have desires. Maybe not everyone. I'm making general assumption here. But most of us, most of you listening to this podcast, you felt sexual desire. Probably you already had sex in your life. What's wrong with it? I'm also standing for women reclaiming their pussy, their body, feeling confident in their own skin, so they don't feel that there's something wrong with their bodies, and that they can show their body naked with, like, I don't know, body rolls and cellulite and hair and red marks and stretch marks and all those things that we judge so easily. But why is it wrong? I just never get it. And everyone was saying to me that I was so naive. But in that case, I want to stay a child and I want to stay naive, because my perception of the world is way, way more kind and compassionate than blaming women for just being themselves. I'm super passionate about those subjects forever, and I haven't talked about it, and I haven't expressed it, and I haven't stepped up even on Instagram. I was just posting what I thought was appropriate and not daring to show some aspect of me that are really present. I'm a very sexual person. I really am, for a long time. I always loved touching and play, and I'm just like a flirting person. And it's time to own it. I'm not gonna fucking hide because it's disturbing people. I didn't came here to please people. I didn't came here to meet expectations of other people of what they think is correct or not. And the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is to invite you to do the same. And it doesn't have to be about sex. It doesn't have to be about your body and growing your hair, your body hairs, and any of that, and being sensual or whatever. Just doing what you feel is right for you. Living up by your own truth and knowing that no matter what, you're going to be judged. And this is okay. Because when you trigger some people, they're going to just move away from your life. It might be painful. I'm not going to lie. It might not be pleasant to feel that on the moment. But the good news is that's also the way you attract your tribe, and you bring more people on your vibration, and you feel just liberation from stuff that we were conditioned to think, but that is not aligned with your higher self, with your own truth. For a long time, I was disconnected from my own truth because my ideas and my visions of the world are very, very different from what my parents taught me, what school taught me, my peers, and still people around me, still very close friends. Sometimes they just don't get me. They just don't vibrate with my vision of the world. And again, that is okay. But just always find what is true to you and express that into the world. Don't be afraid to show up. I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in the world. Because for a long time I was scared. I was scared about what people will think and, what my parents are going to think. And all those fears about showing up as I do, posting pictures of me or videos about me dancing sexy and embracing my wild and breathing weirdly or doing weird stuff, weird spiritual stuff. That's the same with my spirituality, by the way. I'm talking about my sexuality today because that was the subject that happened today, but I went through the same process being someone quote unquote spiritual. Every time I was talking about stuff that were a little bit witchy and and just my connection to the divine, people will shame me and judge me so much, I'm so weird and I'm doing weird stuff and I'm in my bubble and I'm disconnected from reality. I heard everything about me and I'm fucking prepared for that. I couldn't understand how this phase of my life of bullying at school and in the business school. So when I was, how old was I? I was 20 or something. And now I understand why it happened and the strength and the person I become became, no matter this, I'm so much stronger. And I know that if I have my back, it doesn't matter if people don't agree with me or judge what I'm doing. That was a long process for me. It's easier for some people. People who have no people pleasing in their blood, it's way easier. For people pleaser and perfectionists and people who really want to feel part of something and have a strong sense of wanting to belong somewhere, this is very hard to navigate. So if you are in this case, I love you so much. And I'm here to tell you that you can become whoever the fuck you want. Because you're so beautiful and perfect the way you are. Your true essence, you know, the you that is raw and wild and free, and that you're so afraid to show to the world because you're so afraid of the consequences. Let me tell you, that's the most beautiful part of yourself, and you should never feel ashamed for it. And I just want to send you so much love. Like, I hope you receive it. I love you so much. Thank you for listening to that podcast.